We know that the markets had serious losses in recent days, and a lot of reasons have been given for the bearish sentiment. Investors holding on to their positions until after the results season, probably to return to the market in March. But a positive day today, what was that due to?
Well, we have to look at it the way the trend the market has been. And there have been positive news. You notice that one of the companies that announced a profit in terms of owing to its previous years, that was South Africa Cables. Then there's been a lot of sentiment in terms of very high volumes as far as prices for tea have gone, prices for coffee. So that, and if you notice, like some of the agricultural counters, Sasini was actively traded. So that has also contributed a lot to the positive aspect within the market.
Okay, we do know that foreigners have accounted for a lot of trade that's been taking place in the market despite the lower volumes. Again, we keep on saying they're focused on blue chip counters. In the previous session, it's been East African breweries, KPLC, yes. Some gains yes. for East Africa Cables after a poor showing on their results. Within the sort of cautious stance of foreigners, yes. Where should investors be going in terms of areas where others fear to tread? Which are the stocks that are not blue chip that others should be looking at?
Well, if you look at from the point of view, you notice that there's the usual blue chip, and for obvious reasons, you'd always be attracted in that direction. Then you notice that there are one or two counters, but given the nature of which are once in a while actively traded, why most people shy away from the agricultural stocks is that more often than not, they're more prone to change, drastic change in weather, drastic change in terms of like what is happening in Egypt. You notice there's been less of import or less of supply for that matter. Well, if you look at there are a few others. There's the scanners that access Kenya that have been silently but actively trading within the market in terms of their market reach. When you look at like there are very few in terms of ad companies we have in the market. And when you look at the likes of Scanner, it is a very active company. But yet when it comes to the active trading, most people would tend to shy away from it. Maybe because of the traditional aspect that if it's a bank, it is solid, that's where we need to put our money. If it's a utility company, that is also where, which is exactly true, but it's also need for diversity. This is the year I would say 2011 would be, as a stockholder or an investor, to diversify one's holdings.
Let's talk about KPLC. We know of their successful rights issue. We also know that results should be coming through. Very positive expectations for the company, and it seems to be the only stock that has aroused local institutional investor interest. Why is that?
Well, if you look at it from the point of view of KPLC is a monopoly. There's no other power distributor in the country. And then two, in terms of the monopoly, they have seen a lot of change from how it was managed before to how it is being run. And then three, there's been their strategic plan, what they intend to do and how they intend to go about it. And four, if you are invested here, most of those local investors are also major consumers of that, the product that KPLC has to offer. And if you look at it more or less at the end of it, you'd rather be in it than out of it, because you'd be able now to comfortably invest in a company that you know eventually you'll be the end benefit. You will benefit from the end, and even during board meetings or during stockholders meetings, you might, owing to your shareholding, be in a position to influence certain changes that affect your industry.
News of BAT's initial public offering, how's the market reacted?
Well, everyone is looking at it with a bated breath. It's actually very, very exciting. Having previously worked for them, I would say it's been also a very, very good feeling for the market in terms of the IPO and everything that will come forward, because a lot of it has to do with the structure. If you notice the kind of investment it has, it's still a shareholder in Equity Bank, a shareholder in Housing Finance. And the nature of their business in terms of financial services as well as insurance services, you notice that they have a solid model that coming to the market will offer diversity for would-be eventual stock owners.
All right. Now, we are being told that there is a general trend and that new companies are proposing listings on the NSE. We've heard of TransCentury, we know of Uchumi's plans. So it seems as though the tide has changed for Kenya. What are you expecting just by way of momentum for new listings, and how liquid is the market?
Well, if we look at it, right now the market is a bit diversified. We have a lot of interest, like you mentioned earlier, foreign investors, as well as a domestic appetite that will need to be wetted by the IPOs that will be coming up. And then also there's a very good thing that has been happening with the CMA and just general stock investors information. I mean, people are more aware than before, as opposed to where most people will come into the market because so and so has bought that stock, hence I will buy into it. Now you have a solid decision making that they look at it, yes, this is a stock would like to come into because of when I looked at the prospectus, when I saw what they've been, the PR and the ads, what they're talking about, that's a company that I would comfortably put my money in.
And then finally, Waiyaki, talk of Kenya fast-tracking their process of launching a sovereign bond internationally in the 2012-2013 fiscal year. What sort of variables are going to impact on that particular issuance? We know the deficit is somewhere in the region of 7.5% of GDP. What are the factors?
Well, if you look at over that period, 2012, we are approaching a general election. So there will be very high demand in terms of for trying to shore up what is called the base, in terms of to ensure the lending rates, to have a favorable rating with the international community. And having that bond issued over the period, because Kenya has received positive rating, we've looked at in terms of our credit rating has been positive over the period of time. And why not take advantage now that you have very positive ratings to try and attract that money to bring in. And also, if you notice, there have been very many infrastructure projects within the country that have been ongoing. And there'll be that need to at least have that ability to be properly marketed outside.